Happy Friday, and welcome back for another live Biscuits with Bosses, where we get to know leaders in the film and television industry over a spot of tea. I'm your host, Kay Ross, writer, producer, and founder of Owl Echo Entertainment. With me today, as always, video editor, social media maverick, and looking dapper in red, if I may say so, Matt York. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I have to ask, just because, I love me some matchy matchy. Did you actually get that light behind you because you knew that red would just like work with your hair?
Nope. Uh, I went to Dave and Buster's probably 2 years ago, over a year ago, and got it because that was like the most expensive thing I could get with the tickets I had. And then I didn't start dyeing my hair red till February, maybe. Before that, it was a lot of black, and there was black and blue. Like blue were in the parts that are red now, and now it's red. I don't know. At some point, I'll go back to like all black. At some point, it'll change colors once again. But right now, this is just what it is, and that just happened to look pretty good with it.
Oh man.
I just wanted
Well,
something interesting for my back wall because it's so blank. And so I was like, I guess I can hang that up. That's something I've been meaning to do.
I mean, it is both minimalist and yet like it feels strategic. So,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
which I feel like I'm in reverse right now. Like I finally have, decent lighting and a nice camera setup as I like wig out my poor little vlogging video camera here. But like I'm still moving in, man. Like all
Yeah.
this stuff is just that she's gonna wait. I can't do anything about it right now.
No, that's fair. Moving is a pain. It's like you uh do so much stress and so much anxiety to plan the move and pack the move and do the move, and then you finally get to the new place and you're like, man, I was just stressing about all this. I don't want to be stressing about it more.
Yep. Yeah. Although on the flip side, um, friend of mine at work and I often talk about how, and it's not even like a nesting mentality so much as like when you are process oriented, if things are not in their home, it is possible they will never find a home because you just kind of get used to piles of boxes.
Sure.
So I have in the past had some boxes that last like 2 years just sitting in a corner, like waiting to be unpacked. Now some part of that is like if you don't have the storage for it she's just gonna sit there.
Yeah.
But like so there is that like inner drive to just like everything has to have a home now. Because if it doesn't find a home now, that could be its permanent home.
Yeah.
So that level anxiety does not really go away.
I definitely get object permanence like too quickly. Like I'll take out the trash bag and put it by the door to remember to take out the trash, and then I'll like after lunch I it's just a permanent fixture of the door now. Even though I know I need to take it out, I'm just like, oh no, that's where the trash bag goes. And it's just so many things are like that. When I'm like when I was unpacking this place in February, similarly, I imagine to you, I was like, I don't want to unpack all this. I don't know where places are going to go, and that's its own process, is refinding a home for everything and refinding how you want stuff to be. And then you're confused because you don't remember where any of the stuff is.
Yep.
And then you're like, but I knew it's in the box, man. The box says like office, and I know what's supposed to be there. I'll just keep it in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a hamster wheel I'm happy to get off of. Hey guys, by the way, so good to see you in the chat. Just a friendly reminder that we are here for our tea time and chat. Honestly, I've been sick this past week, so after our wonderful screening and Q&A last week, I was just like, I need a minute. We'll come back with you guys. So we will come back fresh with our next guest next week. But that means that we have plenty of time to spill some tea, not just have some tea. So I'm very excited. Before we get started, though, Mr. York, what is your brew today?
Ice water, probably the best brew. No. No, it's getting hot. It's definitely summer here, and I don't want to have the AC on for like the sound and stuff. So this room just gets like the my office. It's great in the morning because the sun's not up, but then as the sun goes down, it just starts going through my window more.
Yeah.
It's great for lighting, and then it just means that this room is super hot. So like once it hits the afternoon, I can't have tea or coffee anymore. It's just too hot in here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Totally makes sense.
what about you?
This is the first time in over a week that I'm finally getting back to my Irish breakfast ways.
Mm.
Because I've been doing, lemon and honey or raspberry and honey, but in some part of that, the last time I had a sinus infection was end of October of last year, and that sucker lasted 3 weeks. No joke.
Oh.
I know. I was so mad because I don't get sick all that often. I am prone to sinus infections, but even when I have them, it's usually like 2 weeks max. And my normal Advil cold and sinus just didn't quite catch it. And I was like, this is never happening again. What did I do wrong? And actually, the first thing I got wrong was I just didn't take any time to rest.
Mm.
I was like, nope, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Never again. Anyway, so it's quite the prize for me to be like, I'm moving on with my tea. I don't have to do that anymore. I do have like one little lingering bit that like it wants to get out of my system, but between Mucinex and Advil cold and sinus, I know I can get it.
Mm.
I know I can. Okay, so I know we normally in the program go through like getting to know you questions, and I feel like you and I have gone through a lot of them, but I kind of want to know. Okay, so actually curious
Mm-hmm.
has a happy hour edition,
Oh.
and I bet they have some example questions, and I really want to know what they are because I want to know if we should get it for the program.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ooh, now that is a loaded question. Technically, it's a statement with a little blank space. I feel most free when.
Hmm. Uh, I feel most free when um this sounds dumb, but as an introvert, I feel most free when plans get canceled. Um
I love that so much.
like I enjoy stuff. I enjoy talking with people and hanging out or whatever, but there's just a certain freedom of responsibility, a certain lackadaisicalness that I have that when anyone's like, "Oh, I'm feeling sick and I'd rather just move a meeting," or if someone's like, "Oh, well, we were going to have this party, but someone caught COVID, so like, we're not really going to do a thing anymore." And that just personal like stress relief that I feel of like I don't have to change out of pajamas today. I can I can just sit here, which I know is like a super antisocial behavior, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just really nice to have an expectation that I needed to do more work, and then realize, oh, I don't need to. I get to just relax.
I absolutely get that. There may have been a day, it was probably the first true sick day I took, and I was like, I'm going to go on Steam. I'm going to
Yeah,
pick Steam, and I'm not going to look back for at least 4 hours.
that's good. That's always the best.
Right? It was really healing because it gave me a reason to stop trying to do anything else.
Right.
Yeah, I feel that. That was a really good answer. And I did add into the chat because, this is getting to know you time. So we want to hear from you guys as well. Like, what are you drinking today? And of course, no need to spill entire tea, but little bit of tea. When is it that you feel the most free? Um I definitely like my time off, and I definitely like being in nature, although my version of nature could be the beach, or it could be in a garden, or it could be like a hike in a forest. It really doesn't matter.
It's all nature.
It's all nature. Um, I'm definitely more of a garden person than a barn person.
Mm.
I'm not entirely sure how natural it is that we like cage animals, but anyway, the point is, time off in nature. Um, and I have to say, some part of that is also knowing that certain essentials are provided for. Um, the first vacation I ever took as an adult, I was 25 years old, and I had been working since I was 15. Um,
Wow.
yeah. Now, mind you, 15 to 18, I was only ever part time. And it wasn't until I was 19 that I had my first full time job. But considering that 19 to 25, the only time I could take off work was, if someone was paying for my ticket to visit them. So almost always with family, never actual vacation.
Yeah.
Um, and this was a paid time off situation, and
Mm.
it was amazing. Um, 2005, that sounds right. Um, and you know, maybe the thing I was doing didn't make me feel free, but the fact that I could come back to a job, to a house, knowing I was going to still make the same money, um, it was just such a comfort. Knowing that I'm saying that now as an entrepreneur, going, yeah, that's why it's so freaking hard to be in this industry. It's because, like, when do you feel comfortable actually
Yeah.
taking time off? Um, I feel like I'm hinting at things that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, so I'm gonna just stop right there. I might be releasing something soon in regards to that, but I'm not gonna talk about it yet. Tom,
Hello. Uh-oh.
what
It's
just
just
happened?
me. And now it's you again.
Oh, I was like, what happened?
I don't know. You froze and then left.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys.
Tom says, my brain is a playground, so I feel free when I'm writing and just making shit up half the time. It's fun.
Yes.
That's completely fair.
Yeah, man, I love that. And for those of you who have not met Tom, fantastic screenwriter and really just human being. Loved reconnecting with you recently, sir. Thanks for coming out to the Wednesday webcast. Yeah, man, I can sense that. You know what? I feel like that's one of the reasons a lot of people really like identify and love fantasy, right? Whether consuming it or writing it, is because it does allow you to depart, um, right? Untethered.
Yeah. Now, I feel like as a creator, as a creative, I do feel, I guess, more freedom in my job to do stuff than other people may be working. Like as we are in this industry, the whole point of what we do is to create things and to make stuff up for other people to enjoy or be entertained by or whatever. And most jobs are not to be creative and to not make stuff up. So I suppose there is, yeah, a certain freedom that's just get to have fun and get to do something that, or create something that was not there before. Like along the lines of fantasy, have you ever done like a presentation night, like a PowerPoint night with your friends?
No,
No. Oh, it's the
who does
best.
that for fun?
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
but
it's
what do you
fun.
present at a presentation night?
That's the thing. You get to present whatever you want. So everyone gets to make their own presentation. They provide their own research, and you just present to your group of this thing that you learned. Recently, Dropout, it's a show. There's a show on a channel called Dropout. The show is called Smarty Pants, which just takes this whole idea. Dropout used to be College Humor on YouTube. But what you do is you make a presentation about whatever you want, and then you present it. So like when I did it with my friends in college, I did how all of my friends are going to die in the event of a zombie apocalypse. And I just went through like zombie apocalypse is happening right now while we're in college, and here's all of our likelihoods of survival. And that was just fun. One of them did like who is the like ultimate Super Smash Bros character, like who is like physically the strongest and weakest and jumps the high, like the real stats of it. It's like no one would actually care, but that's what he's really into. So he just made a whole presentation, and it was very entertaining. But like it's from that ability to just make stuff up, having that complete creative, as Tom was saying, just making shit up. It's like, yeah, like that is kind of what freedom, or at least what feeling free can feel like, I think.
I love that.
And definitely try to do presentation nights with your friends. You only I mean, you don't even need to have friends. Like just do it with your partner, Like they're just fun.
Presentation night with your friends. Friends optional.
Friends optional.
Oh no. I feel like there's a sincere apology coming to your friends here shortly. I wasn't trying to eradicate you from the invitation. Just, just know that your presence isn't necessary.
But I mean, you can also do it over Zoom and stuff, so you don't have to have like the same friends or whatever every time. Like, it's just really fun.
We may have to do that. So I host a lot of events on Stage 32, and sometimes we like stop for happy hour.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's an appropriate happy hour something, right? Like,
yeah,
do a 3-minute presentation.
Exactly. Like, there's no time limit. It doesn't have to be specific. You don't have to get fancy with transitions or whatever. Like, some people do like get really intricate and into the weeds of like what they're putting on, and other times it's just like bullet points. That's like, yeah, here's my, like any other presentation. Like, there's good ones and bad ones.
So funny. There was one other question that popped up that I kind of want to ask, just because we're on the topic of fun stuff. What was your favorite game as a kid? I have an answer locked and loaded if you want time to think.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the record, it's the same favorite game that I play as an adult. Uno.
Nice.
Oh my god, have you seen those videos that like making Uno epic, and they like use special effects and everything in order to like
No.
make it anime-ish, where it's like,
oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah. That's funny.
I think what's fascinating is how it's evolved over the years, though, because I'm like, I still play the basic bitch version. I don't need the special decks or anything like that. But I love it when people have a basic deck and find a special way to play. That's where things get fun.
Yeah, house rules are always the best.
House rules, yes. I will say that card playing is kind of true across the board, though. Like, Uno became like gin rummy, which became spades, which became poker.
Sure.
And then like when I was much younger, it was always like card games for brain training. So I used to play this game called 24, because I come from a long line of people who can do math fast. So for those of you who don't know, 24 is like a square card, and on it you get 4 numbers. And based on those 4 numbers, you have to add or subtract, multiply or divide all of them to get to 24. And the first person to get it, whatever works. There isn't necessarily just one answer, but you have to give a viable answer first. Yeah. That was my jam.
Yeah, I remember being confused by 24 as a kid. I'm also not one of those math people. So, favorite game as a kid is probably like Monopoly. I really like sitting down for multiple hours and frustrating other people. Um,
Are you sincere?
what?
I mean, you're right. That's
Yeah.
what Monopoly does. But like, is that really what you like to do?
I mean, in Monopoly, yes. Uh, Monopoly, I think was I was never good at Monopoly as a kid. I have gotten to get better at it. Um, but I liked that it wasn't, I guess, linear. I don't know. I know that it's like the same thing. Like you do the same roles and stuff. But like I when I was young and all I was playing was like Go Fish or Uno or like Sorry or Candyland, and it's like just
Mm.
go to the next thing, just turn the next card, and that's the thing. I was like, I don't know, it's all boring. And then it was like, oh, this is a game of chance, and this is money, and like there's a strategy in which houses to buy and or which properties to buy, which not to buy. When's the best time to get a house on your property when someone's coming around? Going to jail can be a good thing. Like it's it's a game about strategy that really frustrates people, but no one wants to play it because they hate sitting around for 3 hours. And I get that, but that is why Monopoly's fun. If I wanted a quick game, I would play Uno or something, which is just as frustrating.
Uh, I'm so glad you said it that way. For the record, one of the biggest fights my partner and I have ever had early in our relationship was over Monopoly.
Nice.
Yeah. Because you very clearly start to see what people are capable of when it comes to spending money.
Yeah.
Um, However, on the flip side, later, after we were married, I think it was his parents that asked to play, and we were like, okay, we're gonna guns away, right? Like this is not the battlefield.
Mhm.
But I decided to play a slow game, meaning because the one that started the fight was very much because I was going to win, and I was aggressive,
Yeah.
and I didn't, and feelings were hurt. So this time I was like, it doesn't matter. In fact, part of my strategy was if people were looking to leave the game, I would negotiate something where they would basically either pay me or trade with me, something where they could continue being in the game even if they were low level. Not realizing that by making that deal, it kept me in power. And by the end of Monopoly, not only had I won, I had dominated everybody else on that board because I kept them in the game.
Yeah.
Because they became a stream of revenue for me. Um, and so there's now a running gag that I'm like Darth Peanut Guy, Darth. I'm trying to find the translation for it because when we do Star Wars Outer Rim, I'm Darth Urso. Um, and it's not at all like a dominant thing. Like it's not an aggressive thing. It's just I'm there for survival, and as other people start to lose that line of survival, I provide a lifeline for them so long as it's beneficial to my character.
You're much more benevolent than me, if that's the right word. Maybe
It
not
looks
actually.
benevolent, but trust me when I tell you, people have come for me because of it. Um,
Yeah, because no, I did use the right word. Because I would not let people do that. Uh, like I'm here. Same with you. I'm here to win. My strategy is winning. So if you're looking to duck out, I'll buy you. I'll take your stuff. Sure. Well, you can leave. That means more money for me. Like I'm not. I don't know that. That's you're much kinder to fellow players than me. But maybe that's why no one wanted to play Monopoly with me. Uh,
ooh,
look, looks like,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say Tom says their favorite game was Clue.
Yeah,
That may
man.
have led them to write several murder mystery comedies. Very
Hmm.
cool. Very cool.
Speaking of murder mysteries, if you haven't seen The Residence on Netflix yet, please, please, please do yourself a flavor and go and watch it. Yes, I said flavor on purpose. Which I'm debating whether or not I'm mad because the lead actress, Uzo, got an Emmy nom for her role. But there's no Emmy nomination for writing. which I think is ridiculous. Plenty of, like noms for art direction, right? So production design totally makes sense because their depiction of the White House is amazing. Um, and had to be based on the shots that they needed. So anyway, really good whodunit. Really, really good. Go watch it. Yeah, Clue's a good one. I feel like I never had enough players for Clue, so card games were always my go-to.
I liked Clue. I just never knew how to do it because I wasn't like, those logic puzzles that are like you're given 15 things and they're all vague and it's like fill in the X on this like big grid of stuff to figure out. I mean, that's all Clue is. It's just different grids. And I just could never figure those out. That's not how my brain worked as a kid. Um, so I remember just getting frustrated because I would never, I mean, because I would never get the thing correct, the guess, like the main guess correct, and then that means you're out. So then I would never guess, and then I would never win either. But the movie, once I saw the movie, I was very into Clue. I love Tim Curry, and I loved how they released, what was it, like 3 different endings for it, and didn't tell anyone, and just like had just let that be a feature for audience members. I thought that was just super fun. Like when I learned about that. Tom says The Residence was great. Sadly, no second season though.
No, I had to respond because I was like, yes, it was meant to be a limited series, but there are moments in it where you're like, I wonder if they're going to pull on that thread, right? Like at some point when the first person she interviews is the Australian, what's his name? And at some point he was like, that was you in, investigating something in Australia. At the time I was away or with my wife, or like, that was right down the street from me. And the buzzing that happens as if she's processing and adding things up makes me think she's going to pull on that thread, right? So if there's a version of The Residence in Australia, just throwing it out there, I would watch it. Yeah. You know what, though? I would rather have a strong single season than 3 to 5 seasons that are just weak and keeping us going for what? For what, satisfaction.
Right.
Bye, Tom. Thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for coming in.
And that's just a friendly reminder to anyone who wants to stop by for Biscuits with Bosses. Yeah, we love for you to interact and actually have tea time with us. Because quite frankly, even in the industry, it's really hard to take time and interact with people. And kind of Ted Lasso-ish, right? Do it without any pressure. So this is our way of reminding people that it's okay to take a beat and just be people for a minute. And, work is still there when you get back to it. So,
Yeah. This
Thanks.
podcast is to hold that space for y'all.
Yeah, that was a good way to put it. Thank you, my friend. All right. So for a proper victory round, I'm going to switch to water so I don't cough into the microphone anymore. Matt, did you have anything from this past week you wanted to celebrate? Something you're particularly proud
of? Sure. So, as seems to be my usual victory, yesterday I worked on my my personal video, my Uncharted video game series. And that was cool because starting yesterday there wasn't a video. I had recorded it a week ago, or recorded the voiceover a week ago, and like I looked at my emails and everything yesterday and I was like, I don't actually have like a lot to do today. This is great. So I live streamed for 5.5 hours.
Wow.
And just did the video. I would say a solid like 60 to 70% of the work. Like the video itself was basically done. I just hadn't done like the intro and stuff, but I got like all the gameplay, like the meat and potatoes of the episode was done yesterday. And that just felt really good, because usually I have to piecemeal it together over the course of a week, or I just don't have as much time as I think I do. So I'm like scrambling to do parts of it, or find parts that I can, like half hour here, 20 minutes there, which is
Yeah.
great. But it's hard to feel like I'm making progress when I'm just kind of doing these like little bits. So the fact that I was able to just sit down yesterday for way too long, uh, and just crush the thing out, felt really good. And like, I made notes for myself. So I woke up this morning and I went back to streaming and I kept editing, and it's looking even better than it did this morning.
Aw,
Uh,
that's
but it's
great.
just, it's cool. Thank you. Yeah. It's just cool that like, I was thinking about it and I was like, man, literally 24 hours ago, there was no video. And now if I like needed to, I could just export this as is. It's just, it's I like to think of video editing as like putting a puzzle together. You get all the
Mhm.
pieces, you get all the script and assets and sounds or whatever, and you figure out what's the best way for this to make a cohesive piece. Um, and like with most puzzles, you usually kind of come back to it. You're doing parts here, you're doing parts there. You're like, oh, that would look better. You're letting it work in your head. Uh, but yesterday was really cool to be like, there's no puzzle, and there's a puzzle. That's great. uh,
Um, that
yeah,
is a really great water this time, but still a hearty cheers. Good on you, my friend.
thank you.
That's a worthwhile victory.
Thank you.
Um, Also, that is some, if I may get woo woo for a moment, that is some new moon Leo energy right there, because I was kind of in that same groove where it was just like, I just need to do this thing. I kind of don't care about anything else, and I'm willing to like suffer the consequences. I just need to like do my thing
Yeah.
uninterrupted. Fuck the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was actually, you've heard it, but my victory was kind of sitting down and cranking out these printable worksheets based on my workshop, because I had worksheets, but they felt disconnected from the actual workshop, and I was getting feedback to that end, and I owe some workshoppers some homework, and I was like, I really want the homework to feel as like self-contained as possible, and I
Yeah.
don't feel like it is that right now. So I just sat down from beginning to end and just started doing, like, if the workshop were just in worksheets, what would that look like? I'm so sorry. Anyway, so there is a squirrel on my table outside. You were like invading territory, sir. There you go. Off my table. Off. Where's my cat when I need him? Um, so what was, I think, really helpful about doing that is making sure that there was connective tissue between one exercise and the next. Because I one, it would be great to have something that's printable so people can do it on their own. But also, the more I do online workshops, the more I'm like, oh, I really like in-person workshops. When can I do the next in-person workshop? But that can't happen if I don't have printable materials.
Sure.
So yeah, I too kind of dove deep and said fuck it to the rest of the world so I could get something done. And it felt really
Nice.
good. So yeah, man.
Well, congratulations. That's also deserves cheers.
Thanks. Mm.
So are you Leo then, or Leo rising, or what's the connection there?
First off, thanks for asking. It's very nice of you. I'm the sign the moon is currently in is Leo.
I
So
see.
like taking a moment to like remember your authentic voice is very much like the reflection of what this particular new moon is supposed to be.
Hmm.
I mean, there are lots of different versions of that, but some part of it is like, what do you need to do to show up with courage? And some part of that courage is authenticity, and some part of that courage is, um, you know, um, being who you are, regardless of whether or not you have an audience. Uh,
Mm.
because I think a lot of people see Leo energy as being like trying to steal the spotlight, and the truth is that Leos don't need to find it; they command it. Um,
That's interesting.
And usually there are two different kinds of Leos, right? They're the ones that chase the spotlight and the ones that allow the spotlight to come to them. So shy Leos often still make the best hostesses, because they know if they host the event, they naturally have attention on them, even as they are giving and showering other people with attention,
I
as
see.
is the job of a host, right?
Mhm.
And so, they don't mind that kind of attention so long as they have the ability to also give attention. Anyway, all that to be said, Leos often do not need to look for attention. They just garner it naturally. That being said, no, I am, based on my birth potential, my sun sign is Capricorn. My rising sign is Cancer. So if your rising sign is meant to be your facade, then my facade is the diametrically opposite. People see me as, nurturing and emotional and motherly at first. And then they work with me and they realize I'm a bitch. Small anecdote about that, by the way. The first supervisor job I ever had, I was 16 years old. I feel like I've told you this before, but I'm going to say it for the public. So my first ever job, taxable job, I was 15 years old. I worked at the Maryland Renaissance Festival, and I was so committed to showing that even though like they gave me my own costume and allowed me to work at this, root beer float stand. So it wasn't just like drinks. It was also like ice cream and drinks. And it was right across the way from the jousting arena. So I had like main traffic coming through, including the royal procession. And the king often stopped by for ice. So like we got to play.
Yeah.
So it was like a really big deal at 15. And I took it seriously to the point where I like packed my lunch so I wouldn't have to leave the booth on my lunch breaks. And my supervisor was like, get the fuck out, man. Like, go enjoy yourself. Everybody else works here to play and you're not playing. Go. And my superiors took note and invited me back the next year to be the supervisor. Now, being a supervisor of other teenagers as a 16-year-old was interesting. And the way I kept my head above water was by not telling them how old I was. But everything else seemed really familiar because, theater. And I had gotten to the point where when I would notice anybody at the booth idling, right, leaning on a counter, even playing with people as they passed was more advantageous than just sitting. So I came back the next weekend with a list of things you can do instead of leaning on the counter. That's how like committed I am to like the quality of my work and the quality of my team at the time. Because it's easier then, I think the older you get, maybe the world now, it's just harder. And so I think even early on it became clear that when I lead teams, I have a really like hard expectation and I keep pushing. But at the end of a project or at the end of a cycle, like I believe in rest and I believe in celebration and I believe in earned celebration. And every one of them pitched in to get me a thank you gift. And even my superiors at the time, like got me like a best supervisor award. And I only bring that up because I think Capricorns are often misunderstood as being like not just work-oriented workaholics, but also being like cold and aloof. And I'm like, no, we're just one thing at a time. And we can't be expected to stop and celebrate. And we can't be expected to stop and like enjoy ourselves until the thing is done, like we're in it, we're boiling. Like, anyway, so I think that is one of the reasons that the switch between the Cancer facade and then the Capricorn reality slaps a lot of people in the face is because it's like, yeah, I'm nurturing and I'm comforting and I'll hold your hand through it, but we're going to go through it where I'm going to take you through the paces. And then at the end of it, I'm going to be like, thank you. Good job. I really appreciate you showing up. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And then I have a Scorpio moon, which apparently is one of the hardest placements. So I'm just ah, Blanca, who's one of the actresses from the LA Directors Lab I had the pleasure of working with recently, is actually like a certified astrologer. And so we had a chance to chat between like segments, not just takes. There's no way to do it between takes. Um, and she was mentioning that her daughter has the exact same setup, Capricorn,
Mm.
Cancer, Scorpio. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She's like, "No." She's like, "We get along well." And I was like, "That's because you're a Libra." And I feel like you get along with so many people. I was like, "But if you," she's like, "But can we talk? Because I'd love like some hints about what's coming down the pike." I was like, "No, you don't." We can be pills, us female Capricorns with Scorpio moons. Anyway, all that being said, the reason Leo, thank you for asking, Leo comes up is because, and if you have the chance, I highly recommend this for everyone. If you have been tempted to look at your astrological chart to see what your birth potential is, please, by all means, dive as deep as you need to figure out who you are based on your birth potential. However, in order to grow from that birth potential, there's one sign and only one in that entire chart that says, hey, this is what you should be aiming for, right? This is what you should be growing towards and not just where you start from. Because if you only ever learn where you start from, then you shrug your shoulders when new information is presented to you and you just go, that's just who I am. And then there's no growth. So the one sign that everybody should look up is called the North Node or the True Node. And my North Node is Leo. So it
Mm.
comes up a lot. These little moments of like, don't be afraid to take the spotlight. Don't be afraid to have courage and do the thing that you feel is true to you, right? Because apparently, the thing I should be doing with my life this time around is not just taking center stage, but like having fun, which is really hard for me. Full stop. Just really hard for me. It's so much easier for me to just be like, well, I got to do it. Here we are.
Yeah.
uh, anyway, that was a very long and windy way of saying Leo new moon, very important to me, and this is why.
Cool. Very cool.
All right, so we've done the victory round. I kind of want to take the last little like 10 minutes and do our little like wheel of tea spilling, because before the program started, we were like, there are a lot of things going on in the film and television and media industry right now. And I full stop, I'm really excited for the guests we have in August. One such producer who has found a lot of traction on YouTube with their Nurse Dion program. Another friend who's going to be coming out and hopefully joining the screenwriters roundtable. But ahead of all that, like it's really hard to show up if we don't also keep up. So I'm curious, one, what trades are you reading? Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, right? Like what's your main line? Sounds terrible. And then like what's in your head? What's in your heart? What's concerning you? What do you want to unpack? Or is AI your main concern? Is like tax incentives your main concern? Because let's unpack it. Let's talk about it. Hey Matt, do you have that little spin a wheel available?
Yep.
Could you share screen so that we can watch the magic go?
Absolutely. As soon as I find it. How do I select a tab to share? It's this one, this tab. Here we go. Okay. Ta-da!
Woo!
And we can be on the side here. Look at that.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
It'll spin for 60 seconds and it will stop at some point. Aha! PBS and the importance of free press.
Fuck yeah. For the record, this is an open topic. So anybody in the audience jumping in, we want to hear from you. But I have to ask, because I was raised on Sesame Street. Matt, Do you remember anything from PBS that you were raised on?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I remember Sesame Street. Here, I'll stop this. I remember like Sesame Street. I remember Arthur. Um, but I don't remember too much.
Mm.
After that, I watched a lot of Nickelodeon and Disney as a kid. But what I am very familiar with is NPR. I've listened to
Mm.
NPR my entire life, and in I feel like in this context, it falls into the same category as PBS of nationally funded or publicly funded um, media that is there to actually educate and is there to actually provide uh, news. Um, yeah. How about you?
I was trying to look up my friend Tony. Apparently, he's not on Instagram anymore. I'll have to find him. When we first started doing the victory round, the artist who did our mock up our logo, Tony Pham. So one, yes, I barely remember because I'm old now, but it is like ingrained in my bloodstream watching Sesame Street as part of my upbringing and
Yeah.
like Fraggle Rock and
Oh yeah.
all those things. But I think what there are two modern references in my head. One, when I was teaching, I was actually able to be a liaison between my students and PBS Student Reporting Hour, which I had no idea until I did that PBS actually had like outlets within schools to actually teach them, right, how to deliver segments, right, and actually participate as journalists.
That's cool.
And right? And they do. Like it's not just like, oh, let's do the exercise. It's like, no, we have the platform. If you make it, and it, like we're gonna check all your your resources, and we're gonna check your stuff before we air it. But if you make it, we will air it, and that's
Yeah.
huge. Um, so one, the extent of their ability to teach journalism is really impactful. But on the flip side, those who are actually trying to have something broadcast on PBS, and I did not know this until working with Tony, um, PBS does not purchase programming. So most networks,
Mm,
right, when they're figuring out their programming, people come to them and they say, "Hey, I have this show, right, or I have this made-for-TV movie," and they'll purchase it in order to distribute it, right?
sure.
With PBS, they don't purchase. And the reason they don't purchase is because they're leaving it up to the creator to find their sponsor, knowing that that sponsor is going to be screened on PBS.
Mm,
So all they have to approve is the content, but there's no like bidding war.
yeah.
And that's really, really important because one, it means that the people who are putting stuff on PBS aren't there for profit. They already know how much they're making because they've already made it.
Right.
By the time it is on PBS, they have already made their money. In fact, by that point, the only thing they're really doing is garnering exposure for themselves and for their sponsors. That's it. That's it. So it's really important to recognize that there is, even in the system, there is no loophole for profit. And if there's no loophole for profit, then there's nothing you can do to break it, including bribery.
Yeah.
Right? Or conflict of interest, because the conflict of interest really only comes when you have two competing sources of income resources, right? Desirability. There's none of that, right? So PBS doesn't owe outside sponsors attached to those programs anything. The only sponsors are direct to PBS.
Yeah.
That all being said, it's fascinating. It's fascinating when you learn little things like that, because you realize what must be true in the opposite.
Yeah.
And that shit scares the fuck enemy, right? When you think about, someone who could be behind publishing news or publishing documentary stories even, and put it out into the world as truth without having some sort of notation that says truth through the eyes of this person, right? Truth that these two parties have agreed to promote, not because they feel like it's the truth, but just because they are okay with promoting it. It's way different ballgame, right? Yeah. And I think some part of what I'm glad we're talking about this topic, although I only have one more note for it, which is from a psychology standpoint, when it comes to media, and we talk about this a lot not just when you go through film school, but the more you are responsible for programming content, you have to acknowledge the impact of your content on your audience. And one such impact is, we're going to call it clickability. In order for an audience member to actually be roused into action, they have to see something 9 times. Psychologically speaking, this has been proven. They have to see it enough times where they actually begin to believe it enough to either explore it for more information or actually act on it. So clickability, right? News almost never has that advantage because, as is being reported, it may only be reported by a single news source. And the way to ensure that people do not act on it is to reduce how many sources are reporting on it. Because even though it is objective truth, not subjective truth, it is objective truth. And when I say objective truth, that also means that it can be held accountable. If other objective new information is then presented with that objective truth, you can always be like, hey, there's a correction, my bad. That's what happens with objective truth. The moment you have subjective truth taking its place, you go, hey, new information, and they can choose to ignore it because it is still subjective. Cool. Yeah. So objective truth, if not given as much exposure as, say, marketing with an agenda, then by psychology alone, audiences are not able to act on it because they have not been given enough time to consider its merit. And that's the biggest issue with not having free press, is that it is always a starting point for there to be a ripple effect for people to finally have enough information to feel like they can act on it. It's not even just a question of its validity. It is literally a question of whether or not that single signal will continue to spread.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this mini TED Talk. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
I feel like there is since we're talking on it, there's a Save PBS something petition. There we go.
Oh, yeah. It sounds
Protect
right.
my public media. Here we go. And just so it's available in the thing. So this is Protect my public media. And actually Action Network seems to have one as well. Pardon me. Anyway, I say that all to say, that's actually one of the reasons it's really important that even you and I, as hosts of this kind of a conversation, it's worth it to have these, relevant conversations of what's going on in the world, is because it's one more piece of information that people may hear and go, I wonder if it's worth inspecting. And the moment they go, it's worth inspecting, they're already starting on that action plan.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And we're all subject to it, like, full stop. I'm not saying that from a place of like superiority. It also takes me several times of hearing a thing before I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many like Instagram posts or threads or whatever. I mean, even YouTube videos, I guess, that I scroll through, and how many times like it'll try to push an account or a section of accounts or whatever to me before I'm like, oh, I guess I have kind of liked, all of his posts in the past 5 days. Maybe I should follow him. And it's a weird Ow, sorry, I just slammed my hand on my desk.
Oh no.
It's a weird thing to be like, oh, well, I like this post. Oh, and I like this post too. And then you come back the next day and you're like, I like this thing. And I like it again. And then a week later or whatever, you're 2 weeks, you're like, I've kind of been liking a lot of this stuff. I should follow it. But it's all, or like, yeah, I guess I should follow it to find more stuff, that I like from this person or whatever. But it's not just like, it's super rare to like one video or like one post or whatever and be like, I'm going to follow this guy forever now. And it's like, no, it takes a couple posts. I mean, 9 sounds right. At least 9 times for me to even see, oh, I should start liking this guy's posts. And then like another 9 after that to be like, oh, I do actually like this guy's posts consistently. Let me follow him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the first time you see it and then you start seeing it everywhere with all the
Yeah.
stuff you're doing. Like, I mean, think about like how many times you're given the same commercial about toothpaste or whatever. It's like you're never going to change your toothpaste. Like you always get the same toothpaste every time. And on the one time you run out or the one time you're on vacation or whatever, you're like, oh, but I have seen about 10 million Crest ads. Maybe I should try Crest this time.
Mhm.
Like if ads worked by one time only, you would only ever see one ad once. And that's
Yep.
the reason why you have commercials every 8 minutes. Like,
It's also why there's this alchemical mixture for low income households, regardless of the reason for that low income, right? One, you're more likely to be exposed to ads because you cannot afford the version without ads.
sure.
And then two, it's not less about your intelligence and more about your decision making exhaustion, right?
Yeah.
The theory being that you can only make so many like conscientious decisions in a day. And that's why we try to put so many things on autopilot so that we can save those decisions for bigger things. The problem is that if you're in survival mode, right, you're in that emergency mode for so long, then you start making decisions for things that are small in comparison, right, really big because they're survival. But that means that other things, like where are you getting your groceries and which brand should you be choosing, you don't think about.
Hmm.
You go on autopilot, and that autopilot is programmed by how often you're seeing things because now you have brand recognition and you go, I'll give it a try, right? Just
Yeah.
like you said, I'll give it a try because it's in my brain and I don't
Yeah.
have the time to think about anything else.
Right.
Um,
I'd rather have an outcome, even if the outcome isn't directly or exactly what I'm used to. Like in this case, I'd rather have some toothpaste, even if it's not one that I'm used to, and possibly have something I know I'll enjoy versus not having toothpaste at all because I fucking need toothpaste right now. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Along those lines, I completely forgot until we started talking about this, but did you hear, speaking of spilling the tea, that LA Times, the owner has announced that he's taking it public,
Oh,
meaning, yeah, which with so many major publications right now, newspapers, um, being privately owned, he's doing this as a maneuver to like set the standard, which is we shouldn't be in a nation where it's potential that the person who owns the newspaper could mute real news. So in an effort, he's like, I'm gonna open up ownership. And I'm like, that one, I kind of want ownership. Like I kind of want some stocks in a newspaper.
yeah.
um, but also I think it part of what it will bring up then is like who owns those shares? You know what I mean? Because I think part of what people can sit behind when it's public, because again, the ideal is great, but like if 51% of those shares is still owned by the original owner.
Yeah, like you said that just now, and my first thought was, oh, I wonder how many ads are now going to be played on LA Times or through the LA, like
Mm,
how many like if it's a physical newspaper, just how many full page ads or half page ads or whatever. and you're like, man, there's a lot of ads in this one and not a lot of news. And then you realize that 50%, 25%, whatever, are owned by Verizon randomly. And it's like, well, we're not privately owned. We just happen to have a majority owned by whoever. And then it's like, well, there's not much difference. It's a pedantic difference when you're arguing public versus private when the ownership is still in the majority of one company or one entity.
I mean, ads are always going to be present when it comes to newspapers.
Well, yes, absolutely. Yes. But my worry from having just heard this is that, oh, well, now it's going to be 50% ads that are all full color, full page with like half page actual articles because the companies want more marketing and not as many ads, or more marketing and not as many articles.
Yeah. I think it's a wise move when it comes to journalistic integrity. I do think part of the murkiness, to your point, is what practices are going to be in place that help to prevent the company from doing what other companies are doing, even with, so for example, are stocks offered to the employees? In fact, are they going to invest in employees, or are most journalists still going to be considered contractors?
Yeah.
And when you look at that kind of dynamic, part of what it, allows for is employees of the newspaper to actually show up and feel committed, but also so that they have some amount of leverage, because that's the other problem with privately owned with no employee investment, is that all the money's going to the top. You know what I mean? There's no investment at the bottom. And if there's no investment at the bottom, then they're still disposable. But I would love to hear from people in the audience, because it's kind of a big thing. And it could be considered positive news. I would love to be positive about it, but I don't know. I don't know what to think about it yet.
Yeah, kind of got to wait and see. A lot of people thought Spotify going public would be good, and then it has kind of, or at least a lot of people have argued that it's not been good for Spotify. So we just got to see.
Yeah, I think some part of that is also the, again, who's at the helm making those decisions. But I also kind of wonder,
I don't know. Whenever a company prioritizes profit over its outcome, then it is not good for the company, whether that's private or public, in my opinion. Yeah. And when it's public, it has a more increased need or want to keep making money, because it has to be, investors have to know that they're making money off of it instead of just the company. And when that will only continue to prioritize profit over outcome, because that's what investors typically want. At least that's how I see it.
Yes. But also I think there has to be a shift under that, which is investment can work. I think the expectation of a certain amount of growth each year is ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Especially with something like a newspaper.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, because I did a lot of research about company structure, small business company structure, when I was still in school. And the European structure is built on legacy. That is to say, if you build up a company and it has an engine and it's making money, there may be years of loss, but they know how to ward against that, because again, longevity is more important, because they want to be able to hand that company to the next generation. And even if the next generation decides they don't want it, you can still sell the company, right? You can still pass it on. It is a functioning unit. The American model, based on people who go to school for business or are raised in a family of business, is actually a 10 to 20 year turnaround, where you build it up, you make it valuable, you sell it off, and then you start again. And more often than not, the strategy of the person buying it has nothing to do with continuing it. It has something to do with either digesting it and incorporating it into the current company or completely breaking it apart. And that's the part I don't understand, because you spent all of this time and resource building up the thing, and the thing works. That's why you bought it. Um, but in order to have that quick turnaround, you and this happened all the time. I can't even tell you how many companies I've worked for or friends I've worked for that have been bought up as part of mergers. And the first thing people do in a merger in the first 6 months is fire people. And it's not because there's actually too many people. It's actually because in the first 6 months, that company has to prove to the bank that they got the loan from that they can turn a profit. And the easiest way to turn a profit is to reduce your bottom line.
Yeah.
That's it. And so there's this game that's played in investing and in the monopoly of it all, right? And I think if we stop playing the game and start learning how to truly build, we might actually be able to save ourselves and save our country. But I think without that, we're continuing to tell everyone in this society that we're disposable. Everyone, including the people who are disposing of other people, because you're reinforcing that people are disposable and you're a person. Sorry. Like, that reality hits you too. Anyway, that is the undercurrent that I'm concerned with, because I think you're right. There's trouble with that mentality, and meaning going public and having stocks. So if you're not willing to address the undercurrent, which is the mentality that companies are still disposable and people are still disposable, then yeah, we're going to be stuck in this for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Before I forget, our guest next week is Malcolm Bodon, my Dr. Pepper buddy from set, which is literally how I met him, and then found out that he's just this amazing first AD and producer. He recently started Nurse Dion on YouTube, which has just now reached over 6,000 subscribers. Congratulations. Also won a few tellies for his work with not just health, but also for kid shows on YouTube. Super excited for what's coming down the way. And honestly, if you have not checked out Nurse Dion, highly, highly, highly recommend, because there is a lot of shit on YouTube, but this one's really good. I think that's all I've got. Matt, any final thoughts before we wrap up for next week?
I don't think so, but I'll piggyback off of what you just said. In a world of where you could be showing your kids Coco Melon or whatever other randomness on YouTube, Nurse Dion is pretty good in actually educating children on the importance of, like, I mean, fruits and vegetables and whatever, but also, like, I don't know, it is actual educational content that you can just get for free on YouTube. You don't have to be like have a cable box for PBS for that, or you don't have to, worry about, oh, is Nickelodeon going to show a weird ad or whatever. Like, it's good stuff. YouTube actually does have good stuff on it, and Nurse Dion is one of the actual good stuff.
For the record, PBS actually has quite a lot on YouTube. I actually used their Crash Course series when I was teaching film. And I went back to it recently and I was like, y'all, Crash Course has gone off rails. It's amazing.
Oh, Crash Course is great. I follow them, or not Crash Course, but the original owners, the Vlog brothers, Hank and John Green, pretty extensively. And they are great people. I buy so much stuff from their merch store, the Good Dot store, because like all of their stuff is donated to whatever. Like, they just built a $2.5 million tuberculosis center in Sierra Leone through all profits from the Good Dot store. And those are the people who run Crash Course. Crash Course is completely free. This is not sponsored, not an ad, but
not an ad.
Crash Course is awesome for any student of any age, adults too. Like, the way they just explain things is amazing. And it's completely funded. Similarly to PBS, it's completely funded by viewers. Every year they do, I know this because I just had to watch all the ads they did for it. But every year they do what's called a crash course coin, where you like as a viewer, you purchase this coin, a physical coin. They give you a physical like
Hmm.
$50 sized coin, and they have different like colors on it, and it's like $100, $500, $1,000, blah blah blah. And they're always like, we only need to sell, I don't know what, like 500 coins or something to like fully fund the next year of all of our production. And then they always come out with like way more coins and stuff. So it's really cool because you're able to, like PBS, know directly what you are funding and know directly what it is going to. And it is actual good content for learning. They really well produced, really well scripted, really well animated and everything. All of their stuff, not just history, not just economics, but crash course science and crash course politics and crash course literature and all that. Amazing. All on YouTube
Media
for free.
literacy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry,
Awesome.
I just kind of went off on a rant about that,
No,
but
I love it.
they're legitimately like there's worse things you can do with your time than go on a tear of crash course stuff, because I
Right?
promise you they have a video for everyone. They have a video on everything for everyone, and it is explained honest to god in a way that you'll get it every time. Like there is no BS with how they explain it. There's no like making you feel dumb for not knowing it. It is legitimately great content.
Highly agree. Highly agree. Um, and if I'm honest, this is probably one of the reasons that, um, conservative people might want to take down PBS is because, free information is threatening to people. So I can't imagine why, because, we want critical thinking because it's the only way to
Yeah,
create and build. So
yeah.
thanks for sticking around and actually having some fun critical thinking of your own.
Of course. That's why we're here.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
All right, guys. We'll see you again next Friday, 12:30 p.m. PST. That is, of course, 3:30 p.m. EST for our guest and hopefully another bit of getting to know you, Ted Lasso style. See
Can't wait.
ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.